What's going on, guys, and welcome to Friday Fridays on Drew Reviews. On today, September the 8th, until Friday, October the 13th, I'm going to be releasing a new Friday the 13th review every week. And of course, we're starting today, so I've got the OG for you, the original Friday the 13th from 1980, next on Drew Reviews. Guys, before we get into the review, thank you for checking out the channel. If you like what you see here, be sure to like and subscribe. I'm going to get right into it right now. Halloween came out in 1978 and influenced a struggling young director named Sean Cunningham, and kind of got inspired to make his own slasher movie. He'd done a few others, like he had been the producer on Last House on the Left, but he had the title Friday the 13th, and he got together with Victor Miller, and they created this story that's gone on to be this huge franchise. So guys, if you're watching this video, you know the plot of Friday the 13th. Basically, you've got the backstory of Jason there. He was this kid in 1957 who drowned in the lake, and then the next year, for not shutting it down, two teenagers who were fornicating ended up getting killed. They closed down the camp. And you fast forward here to 1980, and Steve Christie is trying to reopen the camp. He's trying to get it back up to snuff. These young counselors come in a couple weeks before the kids are to show up to help him finish the repairs, and one by one, they start disappearing from the camp. They start getting killed in various ways. It's just glorious. So guys, back in January or February, I did a ranking of these movies, and this movie that we're talking about here today placed somewhere in the middle. It was like probably 6th place, maybe 7th, and I hadn't seen it in a while, to be honest, when I did that review, and I just watched this the other day for the first time in several years, and man, this has really moved up my list. I'll tell you at the end of the video, as far as, in the franchise where it sets, but it has moved up quite a few spots for me. Getting into the things that I like about the movie, this was the first of the franchise, and usually that sets the tone for what the rest of the franchise is going to be, but this movie is kind of its own standalone thing because it's a whodunit. You're not told throughout the movie who the killer is, and it's, a lot of them are done through POV shots, and some of that's done throughout the rest of the franchise, but you pretty much know it's Jason doing the killing. But yeah, in this movie, it's just done masterfully. But I really like that scene when you get to present day 1980, when you got the girl coming in, Annie, I believe it's her name, and she comes in to town to hitch a ride to Crystal Lake. I really like the POV shots there, before you find out that that's Pamela Voorhees. And I really like that Annie character, and I think it's a shame she died so early. She was very likable, and at the time I'm thinking, could she have been the main girl in this thing? But, after watching Alice's performance, I think Alice probably did the best job that could have been done there. But yeah, kudos to the actress that played Annie in this thing. I like the town. It reminded me of a town not so much unlike mine, even though I live in the Midwest and this is supposed to be New Jersey. Just a small, quiet, nothing happening town. And, for all these bad, horrible things to be happening in. I like the camp. It was very quiet and serene. Some really pretty shots there, when the kids are playing on the lake in the beginning. And the kids in this movie, of course, Kevin Bacon is in this in one of his earliest roles. And, he does pretty well as the stoner boyfriend. Earlier this year in my ranking, I said Alice was kind of vanilla, and I just didn't like her as a final girl. After watching this recently, I'm going to have to retract that statement because, there she's smoking a J while they're playing strip Monopoly, and she really holds her own against Pamela Voorhees. So I do like that character. The rest of the actors, I don't know their actual names, but I like the character of Ned. You have to have that prankster, like Ted in the next one, and Shelley in 3, and the other girls, Marcy and Brenda, they're pretty good too. Mr. Christie in this thing, he's always macking on Alice, and he's got that porno mustache, that early 80s Tom Selleck thing going on. It's just, that guy is so creepy. I think he's supposed to give off those vibes, but watching it, it's almost cringe. There's 2 other actors in this movie I want to point out. One is fan favorite Crazy Ralph. Everybody's got that town drunk that rides a bicycle, and maybe not prophesizes doom over everybody like Crazy Ralph does in this thing. But man, he adds so much to this movie. And the second movie, what little bit he's in there. I'd actually forgotten how much he's in this first movie. He's got 2 or 3 scenes. And Betsy Palmer in this movie gives a great performance as Pamela Voorhees. You know, just this traumatized mother who's lost her son, has gone a little bit crazy, a whole lot crazy in this thing. And you know that scene where she's talking to Alice and she kind of laughs and smiles, and you know, just before the killer mommy, that is, ooh, I just got goosebumps just saying that. Um, that is some really good acting. That is very eerie. And this classic actress takes this role, which at the time she thought was just this crap role in this terrible movie that nobody would ever see, and she took it and just elevated it to new heights. And I'm glad that before she passed away, she grew to go to conventions and really embrace this character, because Pamela Voorhees is one of the greatest characters in the entire franchise. So the camp in this movie is really good. It's got to be in the top three camps of the entire franchise. It's just a character unto itself. It's gorgeous. The score by Harry Manfredini. You know, we can talk about John Carpenter's Halloween score all day long, and it's fantastic. But you hear this score, and you know right away with the violins and everything playing, this is Friday the 13th. And that score is good enough, but then you've got the whole delay thing, that goes throughout whenever you see the killer or the killer's near. That is iconic. So yeah, just hats off to Harry Manfredini for the score on this thing. It's totally original. Absolutely love it. So I've already spoken briefly on the twist, and man, that was just done so well. But I wanted to kind of move into kills at this point, because there are some lame kills in this movie, but there's some very good ones too. The best of which I feel is Pamela Voorhees' kill. I don't think there had been too many decapitations on screen at this point that looked that real. They did make a prosthetic head, but Tom Savini's effects in this are just amazing. You know, he cuts off the head, and you actually see spine sticking up, and that's just it's brutal. It's disgusting, and I love that scene there on the beach. That's the fight that she has there with Alice. But that's got to be my favorite kill in the movie. You know, Kevin Bacon's kill with the arrow through the bed is really good, and it's an iconic kill. And another kill that I like that's pretty understated is Marcy's kill. You know, you've got her in the bathroom there, and the axe comes up, and it actually hits that light to show that there's a little bit of weight to this thing. That it's not just a prop, because the light goes flying. And I like the reveal of that too, where she's got the axe in the face. You know, Annie's kill I like pretty well, where she's up against the tree and she gets her throat slit. That's a really good effect. The only kills in this movie that I just go, ugh, are all the gut stabs in this movie. There's a lot of them. How many? Three or four probably characters that get just stabbed in the gut, because there's only so much you can do, I guess, with a POV shot like that. So those kills kind of drag it down just a little bit for me. But the only other thing I could think of that I watched it and I'm like, man, that went on for a really long time was Alice and Pamela Voorhees there in the last act. I didn't realize just how much time there was just the two of them. I mean, there's probably 15 minutes at least where it's just those characters. And I felt like maybe it went on just a little bit too long. But I did appreciate it at the same time, because you really get to see Pamela turn there and just how psychotic she gets in the end. But before I rank and end this review, guys, I have to talk about the last scene. The first time I ever saw this movie, I was probably like 12 years old, maybe 13. And, you know, Alice finally escapes, and she's there on that lake, and it's gorgeous. You see the reflection of the boat on the water, the trees, and some beautiful piano being played there. And, you know, then I just got chills again. Jason comes up out of the lake and gets her. And that scene was just so effective. And of course, whenever he pulls her under, it kind of reminds me of the sound that Angela makes in Sleepaway Camp. Although, you know, this was 3 years before that. Still just utterly creepy. And up to this point, here at the end of the movie was kind of to this level. But when they threw that ending in there, that just took it up to here. I just absolutely love that ending. And that Jason's kind of this tangible thing. But then they kind of like, is he or isn't he, whenever she wakes up in the hospital? Kind of make it ambiguous there. And you know me, I'm always a fan of ambiguous endings. I like how the final shot is of the lake. And is it bubbling there? Are those air bubbles, or what is that? We find out later, you know, there actually was something in the lake. So guys, that was Friday the 13th. I really like this movie. I actually appreciate it a whole lot more than I did, you know, just a week ago, when I hadn't seen it in a few years and was thinking, oh, this one's better or whatever. I still think two's better. I still think 6 and 4 are better. But at the time, I know I had 3 there, and I think I might like this better than part 3. But we'll get there here in a couple of weeks, and I'll be able to decide that then. But yeah, this is the one that just started it all, just set it into motion. Yeah, sure, Halloween begat Friday, but when people saw Friday, Friday actually begat the Halloween sequels. They went from being more psychological, like the first one, to being more like this and Friday the 13th Part 2, a whole lot more slasherish. And then you've got the all the rip-offs, that came out. I love all those movies from like 81, 82, a whole lot of holiday slashers and a whole lot of knockoffs. But yeah, this is the one that did it. But yeah, I'm going to cover some more of those as we go along. I think I've done Silent Night, Deadly Night last Christmas, but I'm going to do some more things like Slumber Party Massacre and some of those. So stay tuned for those. Let me know in the comments what you'd like to see. So guys, thanks for watching this video. Like I said earlier, if you like what you see, be sure to like and subscribe. And as always, I've been Andrew, and I'll see you down the line.